This is Lundon Calling's show number 14 of the London Bridge Talk Show, where we bridge the gaps with 3 generations of Gabby gays. And in case you didn't know that gays are Gabby, you don't know many gays. Bridging the generation gaps are your hosts, Sean Chandler, Donny Winter, and Ace Lundon. As the elder at age 80, I shall moderate the show with Sean at age 50 and Donny at around 25. Let's see how the generations think, maybe the same, maybe differently, about different topics. Welcome to the show, folks. Please fasten your seatbelts. No topic is taboo, and we warn you in advance that I have a potty mouth, and I know Sean and Donny do too. So anyway, you have been warned in advance. And folks, there is so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us. It is hard to tell who ought to reform the rest of us. Get that into your little gray matter pocket, okay? And hello, Sean. Hello, Donny.
Hi, guys. Hi, listeners.
Hello, everyone.
What have you been up to?
Well, Donnie's been up to a lot more than I have lately because he just went through a major milestone in his life.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
You made it.
Just glad it's all over at last. Now, hopefully, I just get my piece of paper in the mail that says I'm awesome at English.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, I've been thinking about this, and so let's kind of open with this. I've been thinking about friends are more important than blood relatives. And then you have to ask the question, why? Because we choose friends. Relatives, we're born into the mess. Of course, we may choose some of our relatives to also be one of our friends. That does happen occasionally. Okay, friends, it is said, are closer than a brother. Wow. A friend will be there for us. Yes, when we are in need, and only those relatives chosen to be our friend will also be there for us in times of need. So let's say that I've been observing you like maybe for many years, and I come to the conclusion I'd like to be your friend and have you as my friend. We then begin sort of what I call a courtship. It's our journey into friendship building. That's how it starts. And we begin to learn about one another to see who each of us really is. We are who we've been becoming, and so we share our lives of how we became who we are today. That's a lot of talking with a person in the building of a friendship. So this is the foundation, however, though it's needed if you want to have a lifelong friend. We know what makes us tick, what makes us happy, sad, angry, or even why in the hell we chose one political party over another, or our religion we chose. We know all about these things with our friends, and we accept and respect the thought and thoughts of all of our friends. That is just a given. You have to have that respect. And I have also found now at age 80 that friends that I chose when I was, oh my God, it's years ago in elementary school. I decided to choose someone as a friend back then. Do you know that he and I are still friends to this day? He's a little older than me, and he's still alive. But yeah, those friends, even if they are thousands of miles apart, and we chose them when we were kids, by the time you're 80, you can still pick up the phone and say, hey, dude, what's happening? And because he's your friend for life. Anyway, okay, I got to ask you something then. Think about this. Maybe we don't need to say anything about it, but why would you choose Sean or Johnny, Donny, John? Yeah, I keep calling you Johnny. I'm sorry, Donny.
It's okay.
At least once a show. We've got it out of the way, though.
I mean, my brother's name is Johnny, so I'm used to my parents doing that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You guys, have you thought about? And I don't know if you've chosen me to be your friend, to be honest. And you don't know if I have chosen you. And I may have begun this journey in learning all about you, because it does take years to get to know someone. And I don't know, though, if you've chosen me. But I'd love to know what qualities I may have that would cause you to say, I want to be Ace's friend for the rest of our lives. So that's something to think about. Deep subject. Okay, folks. Many years ago, when Lance Helms in Atlanta, Georgia, and I started the Lundon Calling talk show, we had a guest on in the beginning. And that had been 9 years ago, I think. And we have her on as a guest tonight here on the London Bridge, because I wanted to find out what has been happening in her life and with this incredible, I thought it was a disease at first, but it's not a disease. It's an affliction, a miserable affliction that goes way beyond anything. It's one of those medical crappy things that they haven't found out enough about yet. And it's called PGAD. P like in Paul, G like in G, A like in me, D like in Donny. PGAD. Persistent genital arousal disorder. Okay? That's what you have to remember, folks. Her name is Jeannie Allen. We've been friends for many, many years, even a long time before I think she knew that she had this PGAD. Yeah, it definitely has been longer than that. And to have gone, and now Jeannie is someone that I chose to be a friend, and I'm glad that she chose back that she was going to happy to be my friend too. So we've been friends. I know more about her than maybe she wants me to know, and vice versa. But we've gone through a hell of a lot together. Jeannie Allen, welcome to the London Bridge.
Thanks, Ace. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you're a little older now than you were last time you were on, that's for sure. 9 years.
That's just a number, Ace, just a number.
Yes, it is. It's a big one, though. No, you're getting ready to do some retiring or something, aren't you now?
Well, I retired from work. I'm 64 and a half, almost a half. I retired at 62, the end of the year 2013, from 10 years in a affiliated company with the film industry in Burbank that does payroll for probably 98% of all film, television, cable, etc. And I am in the process actually now, starting the first of this year, to step down after going on 14 years of being the world advocate for this PGAD. And part of that is because I'm 64, and it's been pretty much single-handedly me doing the advocacy work. And let's face it, I'm 64. So what if I don't wake up tomorrow and then there's people out there that are members or people looking for support, trying to reach out to me, and I'm the only contact? They're going to be in trouble. So we've actually got some really good people, strong. Finally, it's taken a very, very long time, but we've got a really good set of admins that are taking over for me. They've already started a secret Facebook group, and one is a male. He's from England, One is a nurse from New Jersey, and one is pretty much an advocate already for women's pelvic issues and women's issues, and she's in Vancouver. And the last one is a lady that's here in the Inland Empire area of California. So they are really strong. I am so happy to turn this over to them because they're making huge strides already.
Well, I tell you, when you first were on, we didn't know much at all. You didn't either about this crazy stuff. Kind of try to, let me do this. It's been written. It's a disorder that
Correct.
creates non-stimulated genital arousal.
Correct.
Okay, now that means no sex with a partner, no masturbation due to pleasure, and unwanted orgasms.
Correct.
Okay. This is a crazy illness or whatever. We can't call it an illness, though, is it?
No, we're going to call it a disorder.
A disorder. Okay.
That's what the D in PGAD stands for.
Oh, gee.
Disorder.
Thank you very much. Slap, slap. Okay. I should have.
No, that's fine. I mean, there's plenty of people who really don't know what it is. It's maybe find it a little difficult to categorize it.
Yeah, it is.
When it first was discovered, the initial doctor, Sandra Liebland, named it PSAS, and that stood for Persistent Sexual Arousal Syndrome. And we found over time that if you said that to anyone, doctors or anyone, they right away thought sexual addiction, wanted to hand you off for sex addiction therapy. So she changed that word because that's not what it is, and changed that to disorder and genital, took the sexual out because you hear the word sexual and people's minds run amok in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, this is a topic that is easily to be made fun of too. You get into things like that, and I'm sure that you've probably run into that over the years. Where some stupid man will come up and say, "Gee, I wish I was with her,"
Well, my very first gynecologist, who was male, when I found out what I had, which I've had it since 1995, and then spent until 2001 turning every stone over trying to find even a name for it. There was just, you Google the hell out of it, and all you would find is people who had no sex drive. And I wanted to know why all of a sudden I had this high and unwanted and reoccurring over and over sex drive. And so it took, like I said, till 2001 to finally even get a name for it. And that's when I was put in touch with Sandra Liebland. And at that time, she is actually the one who named the disorder and only had about 5 women with those complaints. She was a PhD at Robert Wood University in New Jersey at the time. And so I happened to see a People magazine one-page article on 2 sisters, or the Berman sisters, that were in UCLA. One was a urologist, one's a psychologist, and they were running a women's health clinic. So in my search, I actually found their email address on UCLA's website, and I sent an email to Jennifer Berman, the urologist, and I said, "Have you ever heard of this?" And gave all the symptoms. And she's the one that actually gave me the name. And I read that email, and I was like, yes, we've seen some women with it. At that time, persistent sexual arousal syndrome. I just burst into tears because, my God, this is like, what's it been? It's been 6 years of me searching and searching, and I finally have a name. It's not just me. And then in the next paragraph said they haven't had any successful treatment and don't know the cause. So first I was crying from relief, and then I was crying from sadness. So, so I stayed in touch with Dr. Lieblum, and she had a small little group that for those women to talk to each other. And being a professor, she was really too busy. So I wound up taking over for her and running that little support group.
Now, by the way, Donny and Sean, it's okay if they interrupt you and with questions too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I feel like somebody keeps trying to send me okay. Somebody was sending me a message and I kept hearing a beep. Now I know what it is. Okay.
I actually have a lot of questions.
Okay. Who is this? Is this Donny or Sean?
I'm Sean.
Okay.
I'm the 50-year-old married man on the panel here, and so I'm just telling you that in hopes that you can take my point of view and consider it while I ask these questions.
Sure.
Now, I read the article by Thomas Weiss that originally identifies this as persistent sexual arousal syndrome. One of the questions I was going to ask is if you are still referring to it as that or PGAD. So thank you for answering that for me up front.
Mm-hmm.
Is PGAD, is it something that is always occurring within your body, or does it hit you randomly? And if so, what brings it on?
It's different for everyone, which is so complexing that we cannot narrow anything down. For myself personally, when mine began in 95, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And that, I think, thrust me straight into menopause at 41 years old, which is pretty young for menopause because the stress just made my periods stop dead cold.
Wow.
And I was put on an SSRI, which was Zoloft, for depression, and I think Paxil for anxiety. And it was only a matter of a couple of months what started with just, a tingling sensation in the genitals. And, my first thought was, maybe I'm not dead after all, because my then husband, worked his whole career at one of the major studios, and he was in charge of several departments, and he was exhausted, and I was going through this stress, and so we made jokes. It's like, okay, tonight we're going to have sex, and then we just fall asleep and couldn't do it. So when the tingling started, I thought, well, hey, I'm still alive, but it didn't take but a matter of a couple of days where that tingling sensation just kept reoccurring. And what it did is it wasn't even just a small tingling. What it did is it just started turning into a throbbing. And that throbbing acted like I'm sorry, just drawing a blank. A catalyst to being aroused. So it was building up like I wanted an orgasm, or needed an orgasm, not wanted. Needed an orgasm, because it would just kind of build you up to that point where you felt like you had to have the release. Mm-hmm. So for myself, he's passed out asleep. I didn't want to even tell him about it. I was kind of concerned. So I masturbated to get it cleared out of my system. Thought that was fine. But then immediately it started building up a crescendo again. And I'm thinking, well, that's strange. I've never been somebody who needed more than one orgasm. And so I, handled business again, and it came right back. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? This is, that's 3 in a row. I knew that wasn't me. So I decided I better go and see my doctor and find out what's going on. For me, I think it was the stress, the hormones, by stopping my period, and the SSRI combination, like a cocktail combination for me. There are other people who have had it, they remember since they were small children and always wiggling in their seat, and it was because they had the sensations. There's been someone who had it right after giving birth to a child. I don't know if that means that, a episiotomy they'll do on a woman to just make it bigger for the child's head. Maybe a nerve has been cut there. Other people maybe haven't been on an SSRI, haven't had children. Maybe they've, riding bike a lot. This is kind of a common thing with men called pudendal nerve entrapment, when you're sitting, like a Lance Armstrong, and you're doing all those bike rides, and you're on that bike seat and you're compressing the nerve.
I'm surprised to hear there are men now too. There weren't that when you were on the show the first time.
No, there were never men on the show, and on the support groups. And it's only been in the recent years, I'd say the last 3, as there's been more and more attention and through media and doctors, that men started showing up. And of course, the first thing they want to do, because the majority of members are women, they felt afraid to speak out because they were afraid they were going to be seen as a stalker or a pervert. And I actually did have a couple women in the beginning ask me privately, send an email, said, "Why are you letting a man on here?" And my answer back was, because there's tight muscles, very, very tight muscles in the upper inner thigh, in your groin, in your hip. It's just really tight. And I said, we all have muscles, we all have nerves, and you cannot let a man out of this here when we don't know all the causes or the cause. If they say something inappropriate, that's something else. I can, kick them out of the group. But if they have it, men need support as much as women do. And so to date right now, I would say there's between 15 and 20 men. And one of those admins that I said in the beginning that's in the UK, he has it.
By the way, this is a real personal type thing, but for either the female or the male that has this, do you have to wear special panties?
Special panties?
Yeah, panties like diapers.
No. But I was like this in the beginning. I'm not now. I've kind of taken a holistic path, and I'm doing a lot better than where a lot of these people are. And they're like where I was in the beginning. Tight clothes are real bothersome. So no tight underwear, no tight pants, because it will, push on the genital area, and then that will also cause, it acts like a stimulant.
Yeah.
There's so many little things that will act as a stimulant. And stress, it causes you so much stress. And here is the flip side of that. Any kind of negativity in thought intensifies these sensations about tenfold. So if you are feeling anger, fear, worried, anything negative, and I, kind of did a poll with everyone, and they said the same thing, that it just makes it shoot through the roof. So, you need to try to keep yourself calm through some kind of meditative breathing or meditation, and try to get rid of those negative feelings as best you can, because it just triggers it a lot worse.
Yeah, are there people in Donny's age range in their 20s that really have this stuff?
No, the admin from the UK is in his 20s. He is in college. He's been suffering a lot with trying to do his exams, his final exams. I've had women in their 20s I can think of at least 3 that dropped out of college because they couldn't sit, they couldn't focus. So, yes.
Wow. It's interesting that you brought up the SSRIs, the antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, because I take a mild antidepressant and mild anti-anxiety medication myself, and one of the side effects of those is a diminishment, in your sexual appetite, in your sexual feelings. It has a tendency under other circumstances besides what you've been under to sort of dull all of that. But from what you just said and what I've read on PGAD, it seems to, in certain cases, have the reverse effect of that.
That's what I believe happened to me. That's what several other people have said as well, that they were on or coming off of an SSRI. But the complexity is that there's a lot of people out there who've never been on an SSRI at all, and they still have this. Mm-hmm. So, this is where the research needs to come in. We need a lot more research. Now, I'm going to back up to when I first found out what it was, and I went to my gynecologist, who happened to be a man at the time. And when I told him of the symptoms, because I was trying, desperately to find out what's wrong, he's the one that snickered and said, "You're every man's dream."
Oh, my goodness.
And I was so pissed off that I just kind of whirled around and walked out of his office. And then when I went to my primary, who was also a man at the time, he told me to go and get myself into a sexual addiction group.
Yeah.
And that pissed me off because it's neither one of those, but that's so early on. And the problem is these things need to be in medical textbook teachings in school. No one's ever taught about this in school so that people coming through med school and go out to be a doctor or a psychologist will be aware of this disorder.
Well, it should be in the universities for damn sure.
Yes.
Should. Yeah.
Well, it's not. This is part of what we're pushing for. And then, of course, the research that needs to be done. And some of the researchers constantly do tons of paperwork to submit to get funding, and then wait and wait and wait, and then they come back and they turn them down for research. So it's very, very frustrating, and the doctors are not too helpful. But I do have to say, over time here, we've educated doctors as best we can. All of us as a group, the members, the admins, spread this word to our own doctors, take articles. Basically, we have to educate the doctors.
That's right.
And, so out of that, though, we have been able to put together and have for members when they come in a doctor list that is worldwide, that is at least familiar with and open to trying to help men and women. And that list is now like about 260 doctors worldwide.
Oh, wonderful. Good.
So it's growing, and the women's pelvic pain centers, they're helping as well. The men are the ones that's getting the least amount of help. That's what we're working on, and the admin, his name is Shan from the UK, he's focusing on that as well. At least he's getting men to talk who were staying silent even though they were members. He can interact and they can relate with him. So, and these admins that are here now, they're doing such a fantastic job. They have put together a poster and attended the International Sexual Health Foundation, ISHWISH, and had a complete poster. And this was with tons of panels of doctors, and they were able to present that, and that's just been recently. So that opened a lot of eyes and had a lot of interested doctors in learning more about it. and it's a rough deal. We've lost 4 women to suicide so far. Because of PGAD, because first of all, there's trouble too when you don't have health insurance. You can't go and see a doctor to even try to get help.
Oh my God!
Or when you go to a doctor, a lot of times they won't make eye contact as soon as you try to tell them about it. They just kind of look the other way. They'll look down at the paperwork, and then they'll say, "Well, I've never heard of it," and you need to go see another doctor, and that's rejection and not a validation, and that hurts and causes anger, which then causes stress, which then causes the PGAD to be even higher.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, how frustrating. I mean, when you need the research, because it sounds like you really sort of need to have the medical professionals identifying the common denominators and the symptoms to really hone in on and help you guys to come up with the way to effectively manage it. And you're doing all of that. Not doctors, you are. I mean, I know doctors have been brought into it, but because of you, all that's happened. To me, that seems like a sad statement on our medical community.
It is, but it's slow but sure. At least they're out there, and that it's growing, but we still need that research funding. And by the way, I'm going to back up to where you said people making fun. Jay Leno had a skit. Saturday Night Live had a skit, and they made fun and pretended there was orgasms on almost like a Harry Met Sally thing. Infuriated us. We're just like, I wrote to Lorne Michaels and ripped his ass to shreds. And and then somebody says, yeah, but Saturday Night Live makes fun of everyone. And I'm going, I don't care what everybody else. I care about these people. And especially when we have women that have killed themselves, they just can't deal with it. It's so distracting. It's just, you are trying to do anything in life. And there's and then it's basically they feel it's a taboo subject, so they don't want to talk about it. There's one woman didn't want to go public when I got all these media like 2020 twice, the doctors, TLC, all these things I've gotten coverage on, but trying to find people to be on those shows and speak out was like pulling teeth. The one woman didn't want to be on there because she's a Jewish cantor. She was afraid that the church is going to find out and then they're going to think less of her. Another one is a school teacher, and she's afraid if they found out then she'd lose her job because they'd think that she's a pervert and going to go after the children. It's there's so much still work to be done, but this group is just going to be amazing.
Jeannie, I got to say this to you. We all, I think, everybody wants to make their life count when we're here, and yet sometimes it ends up counting in ways that we never thought. Your life has counted, and it is counting now, and still in the future it will be counting. You have made advances in something that is just absolutely amazing. So your life has certainly counted. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
What I hope is that there's some kind of good treatment or research that finds the cure before I kick the bucket. That's what I'd like to see it carried through before I'm ever gone. I mean, at my age, I could just go to sleep and not wake up.
Of course, we all could.
I don't plan on it, but, I would really just love to see all these people. I mean, we have 600 members.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I have some more questions about the humor aspect of it. But before we get to those, we need to get Donny Winter talking a little. He's being a little too shy. He's not usually.
I'm listening.
So
and
why don't
learning.
Donny? We'll prime the pump, so to speak, and Donny will do commercials, and maybe that'll get him talking a little bit more.
Perfect. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, before I get to the commercials, I just want to say, Jeannie, that I think it's it's a testament to your strength being able to act as researcher and activist at the same time, because I mean, you were mentioning that, I mean, people telling their stories, they are discouraged from doing so because sex or anything related to sex in any form is considered a taboo subject. And I think this type of awareness that we're creating right now is especially important, because we need to encourage people out there that these types of things need to be discussed. That way it can lead to further research and lead to people not misinterpreting it. So I just wanted to say that I think what you have done and what you are continuing to do is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's get on to some advertisements. First, let's give a big thank you to one of our primary sponsors, which is our miraculous Mike and his lovely wife, our girl Juanita. They are the brilliant engineers behind our show. They also do stage and theatrical design and jewelry design, also audio and video editing, and you can visit their website at eclectic-resources.net. Next, and equally as fabulous, let's thank our friends at Diversity Rules Magazine, a wonderful LGBT-focused online magazine that can be found at diversityrulesmagazine.com, and they also have an app that you can get on your smartphone as well. We are also thrilled to be featured on Next Big Thing Radio, which is a podcasting website featuring funny and informative shows from our fellow podcasters, and their website is at nextbigthingradio.net, and they also have a smartphone app. If you would like to learn more about Ace, you can visit his blog, Scattered Thoughts from a Scrambled Brain, where he waxes funny and philosophical thoughts on a wide range of topics, and you can find that at acelundon.wordpress.com. And if you enjoy watching YouTube videos, you can subscribe to my own YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/Donny Winter. And if you want to learn more about Sean, you can visit his writer's website at SeanWChandler.com, or follow him on Twitter, Sean at the Flash. And naturally, if you enjoy listening to our show, please feel free to visit our website, Lundon-Calling.com, or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/LondonBridge. All right.
Thank you, Donny. You do that really good.
Oh, thank you.
He makes us sound so smart, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He does. He smartens up the show for us.
You guys are making me blush already.
He's the only professor on the show. What are you talking about?
I know, right? Exactly.
You and I, we're dirt.
Oh, nonsense. Technically, I'm not a professor. I'm kind of a professor wannabe. But one can dream, right?
Yes. But
one will make it a reality.
Yes.
Okay, now, Jeannie, you're still there, right?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
You haven't fallen asleep forever on us, which we don't want that to happen, for sure. Okay, so now, I'm sorry if I come across as kind of ignorant on this, but I did have this question. It's probably, I'm going to say, a little common. Sexual elements in our life are often used in humor. Now, you were talking about your struggle with how people sort of make fun of this affliction. And do you think that there is any place for humor with it? If so, is it only within the group of people that who have the disorder? Or, I mean, I'm just wondering, is humor okay? How so? Is there a line? Is it? I mean, see, I'm even getting flustered trying to ask you the question because I don't want to offend you.
Jeannie,
you're not going to offend me. I'm very outspoken.
Yeah.
You have to be an advocate. So I've heard it all. So just shoot from the hip, darling.
Jeannie,
Okay,
is it like the black community where only they can say the N-word to one another? You know, is it something like that where only your people can do the jokes?
We would prefer that outside of the community that no one makes jokes. And the reason why is because then we're taken less seriously. And it is an extremely serious problem.
Okay, I get that. Yeah.
But within the community itself, I don't know as though we make jokes about PGAD, but we do try to use just humor in our life here and there to try to uplift. You know, there's great support. I have to say, this is only within the group itself. What they offer in this closed group is real-time conversations, because it's on Facebook, so everybody can join in and say their 2 cents worth, plus, of course, they can post. Then we have the list of providers, and then we have an information section inside that. It's like a Dropbox, and with important articles and tools and self-management, techniques, essential reading, things you can print out and take to your daughter, tests that can be run. We have actually, I believe it's open to the public on YouTube. It's a PGAD channel, and it has every video from every TV show or documentary we've ever done on there, so people can learn about it there. We also have, through this groups, current research studies and trials for them to participate in, because up in Toronto, Canada right now, there is a very big research study that went on that we all participated on, and it was about 35 very long pages online, anonymous, that are research questions that are about the vulvodynia, about PGAD, about everything under the sun, so that they can study, because I believe they're going to have a big grant given to them based off of all of this research questionnaires. So that's available for them, and how they can help, how they can get involved if they are interested in doing so. But it's a safe place. We can vent there. We can, cheer each other and lift each other up. We can share all of this information that other people really can't understand unless they have it. It's one of those things. But as far as on the outside, don't want the jokes, because we've already been ridiculed through some really sleazy media that came in under the pretense that they would do something very sensitive and would like to help raise awareness, and then they interview someone and just take so much stuff out of context, and all they want to focus on is how many times you orgasm, how big are your orgasms, and all of that. And to me, that's just like dirt. I don't want to do that. As far as not, we need people to realize this is a real thing. And even though the doctors haven't heard of it, even though it wasn't in their textbooks, this is what we want to say to them. I mean, it doesn't exist, because MS never used to exist. Lou Gehrig's never used to exist. There's a million different things out there that never used to exist, and then it suddenly shown up, and this is just another thing. So it needs to be taken seriously. So that to answer your question is, outside of the group, no. Inside the group, if somebody wants to do that and it helps alleviate the stress and the anger and the worry, absolutely. I'm a big jokester, so I try to keep things light for everyone.
Oh, okay. Now, this is a question that's sexual in nature. When we have sex, just as a people, we have a tendency to suspend certain things in our mind that are going on in our life. Like if we're grieving, or if we have a mild cold or something like that, your mind sort of goes on another plane. Do you know what I'm saying when I'm saying that?
Yes. Yeah.
Does this happen to people who suffer from PGAD when they're having sex? Do you sort of forget about the fact that the orgasms are involuntary, and do you go into I don't want to say normal, for lack of a better word, normal sexual mode? Does it sort of go away and then you become sexual and everything is sexual, and then it comes back in its involuntary form when you're done?
I can tell you that majority of the women refrain from having sexual intercourse with their husband or their partner because it seems to aggravate it and make it worse. And it's very sad because I have seen where women have gone through a divorce. The husbands just left them because they couldn't keep up and they didn't think that they were enough. That they couldn't satisfy them, and it just, and their constant complaining and pain was just too much to bear for them. But basically, so no, there's no thoughts of sex with these. That's the thing that's with this. It's just the only way we're thinking of sex is that the body is telling us because of the way it's acting. So. And it can't be turned on and off. So you've got normal sexual response has been defined as a 4-stage cycle. You've got excitement, plateau, orgasm, and resolution. Now, people suffering with PGAD are thought to exist in the stages between excitement and orgasm with no resolution.
Wow. So
by the way, on the Jeannie, on the email that you sent, there's a www.mediafire.com address. Should Sean or Donny put this address out so our people can see it and go to it? It's the one that I don't know. You said here's the link. After 13 years, you'd accumulated a lot. And
anyone who's interested, they can go ahead and go there. That is a public.
Okay, so
that's a public place that I am trying to, through ending my involvement with advocacy work, I'm going through 13 years worth of folders of files and things, and I'm uploading into different folders, which then the new admins can download and share in the secret groups.
Okay.
So
we could. So Sean can help get that address out for our.
Yes, if they want to know more about it, they can use that link. If there's anyone out there that's listening, and before I even say this, I do want to say, because it seems to be the way men might realize what we're talking about more for men. You just think about if you had an erection and it was painful, had an ejaculation, and immediately had an erection again, and this is 24/7, and it's not priapism. There's men also that don't get the erection, but they feel the arousal, and they will still have an orgasm. They will ejaculate without a hard-on. So I try to put that in perspective from a man's point of view to try to figure out how you would feel if that was happening to you.
Well, that's why I wondered if you didn't have, if at least the men don't have to wear diapers, because if you do have an orgasm and you come, it's going to be in your pants.
Yes. So, there's things out there for just even bladder control for people. They're like an underwear thing. You could certainly wear those and have those there because, otherwise you're going to have a wet mess in the front and embarrassment and worry and fear about that. Yeah. Ironically, I discovered on my own, and then I posted it years ago and asked everybody to try the same thing. Go get in the swimming pool and tell me if you have PGAD, because it is 100% gone. Swim for an hour, you will not have one sensation, which is very interesting. And I've said that to doctors, and it's like, why is that? Why is it that? Is it the floating of your body? Is there less pressure on a nerve, muscles? It's just really interesting. So, I belong to a gym, and I'll try to go and swim as often as I can. There's a lot of different medications that people are taking out there. Lyrica, Gabapentin, those are, nerve medications. Ambien. The list is quite long of what they're taking. I am opposed personally myself to all those big pharmaceuticals and putting those chemicals in me, because I blame Zoloft a lot for when mine started. So I try to go a lot more holistic and take over-the-counter stuff. And I do Deepak Chakra meditation for trying to focus on that, and deep breathing and stretching. There's some great stretching you can do. A myofascial massage, if you can go to a therapist and tell them to really massage the upper inner groin on either side of your genital areas and your hip flexors, and you will find that they are so tight, and you just don't realize that on an everyday basis. What changed for me, and I remember I got this in 95, is I was like everybody else and worried and full of anxiety, and how I don't want to have this when I'm 80 years old. And then you have the fear about, what if something happened and I'm in the hospital, I've had a semi-stroke or something where, I'm awake but I'm enabled and I need to get the release through masturbation and I can't even do it. And then I'm just going to be sitting there going out of my mind. These are all things you think of at the time. Mm-hmm. But when in 2006, I don't know what happened, but I just kind of said, okay, you know what? It's not going away. It's here to stay. That's the bottom line. So I'm not going to let the damn thing be the center of my life and rule me. I'm going to build my life around it. So I started focusing on all these other things, like I said, with the stretching and the massages, and not worrying about it. It's just there, and that's life. And mine calmed down quite a bit when I did that. It was like acceptance was a very big relief for me. And so I don't have it like I had, and I am so freaking grateful. I still have it. It seems like it's worse probably for most of us when you lay down to go to bed at night, when you're just laying down. I don't know why, but I can walk, I can sit. A lot of people can't sit because they get that throbbing. And I was at that point one time a long time ago, but it's still there in the evening. It's not going away, but I'm managing it better. And by the way, I want to say that last year I decided to just go for it with the guns. And I filed for Social Security disability based on PGAD, which was just barely put into the National Institute of Health's list. And I asked my doctor, and we came up with a code. And I looked up the code, and the code also said about, having one of the options of that code or definitions of that code was having unwanted arousal. And I said, well, I'm using that frickin' code for PGAD and filing for disability, and then I'll just add all my other problems I have on there. I got a bad back. I had a hip replaced. I got fibromyalgia. But my main thing was to go after PGAD. It's a lot of work because they don't do anything for you. You have to get all your doctor records from everywhere you've been and for them. They don't go get them. That's a lot of work. There's probably a 20-page form for the SSDI you have to fill out, and then you have to have a second person, which in my case was my daughter, fill out the same damn form saying the same stuff that you just said. So I did all that. I had a phone interview. I turned in all of that stuff, and she said that it would be 8 months before I would, hear anything. And from research I did online and from my son-in-law here, who was diagnosed with Crohn's for 3 years.
Okay. Yes. What did you say about your son-in-law?
Okay, he was diagnosed with Crohn's when they were still up in the Oakland area. And he fought for SSDI there and kept being turned down. And even though it's listed on the SSDI's website that is something that qualifies you for SSDI. So once they moved down here, I said, get yourself a damn attorney and go after them. And he did. And they had to pay him back 3 years back SSDI. But, I read it was like 8 months and everybody gets turned down the first time. So in 4 months after I filed, then all of a sudden in my checking account, I got this big chunk of money from the government. And I'm looking at my daughter and go, what in the hell is that? I'm not spending that. I have no idea where that came from. 4 months I was approved for SSDI on PGAD. And I am the first person that's been given SSDI for PGAD.
Well, another small victory. Oh, God.
Mhm.
That's a pretty big victory because all these other people who can't work, one of the members is a realtor. She can't even go out and go into the world and show homes. And, so many people had to quit working.
I tell you what, Jeannie, we're getting down to the end of the hour.
Okay.
I definitely thank you, but you already know that. And Sean and Donny, do you have any final words you'd like to say?
I have actually one final quick question. Presumably, we'll probably have people experiencing this disorder listening to our show. And if a person has not done any research or not made any effort to visit a doctor or anything like that, what suggestion would you give them? What advice, based on personal experience, would you give with regard to their first step?
Well,
the first step I would say is probably go to that link that I just gave for MediaFire, because one of the folders in there will have some information that you can print out and take to the doctor. What I find, though, too, is don't tell them you have PGAD right out the gate, because that seems to turn them all off. Just say that I am having muscle spasms and nerve tingling. Use those words rather than persistent genital arousal disorder. Because if they don't know about it, they just kind of seem to shut off. So start with that, just saying I'm having these sensations and I don't know what's going on. Build that little relationship with the doctor and then come in with that paperwork on PGAD and hand it to them and say, this is exactly what I have right here. And they also, if they really think that they have it, they can go to one of our support groups. There's the PGAD-support.com, and they can look up PGAD Yahoo group. And
by the way, Jeannie,
yes.
And guys, let's run over on time for this. Let's take it for another 30 minutes, okay? Because we're getting too much good information for our listeners. So
I'm writing it down too.
Okay, keep on, Jeannie.
All right, so there's the PGAD-support.com. That is that's a group. There is it's too long of the Yahoo one for me to give you that whole thing, but if they just Google PGAD support on Yahoo, you're going to find a link to where you can go there. These are all closed groups. They just need to request to be a member. And then there's pudendalhope.org. Because pudendal nerve, a lot of people who have PGAD sensations have pudendal nerve. And then they go through nerve blocks, and they go through Botox, and then they go through surgeries. And I've had some that have had surgeries for pudendal nerve, and now they got the pudendal nerve pain plus the PGAD, so it doesn't even work for everyone. And then with any of those groups there, you can always send an email for if they want to be part of that secret Facebook group. That would go to Linda, and I'm going to spell her last name, C like Charlie, A, T like Tango, A, L like Lima, D like David, O, the number 8, at gmail.com. She's pretty much the one that contacts, and then she will send back questions and wanting to know, why do you think you have it? What are your symptoms? What have you tried? What doctors have you seen? You know, they're doing a far better job than I did at really screening people before they let them in these groups, because we have in the past let people in and they just say, they can look on Google and then come to us and say, I've got these symptoms, and they wind up to be journalists that are just getting in there and gathering information so they can go and write some article somewhere and get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Linda with an I?
Pardon?
Is that Linda with an I or a Y?
Yeah.
Or
I. LINDACATALDO, the number 8 at gmail.com.
Got it.
And they will have to have a Facebook account before they can become a member anyway.
Okay.
And then you'll be asked the questions, and that's for their protection and to protect the group members. But they're also working in collaboration with the Bridge for Pelvic Pain. So, we're getting people on board, and there's several doctors that have been really good. We can find them help. And what they're going to do now is they're going to start putting together a packet for new members that gives them all the information of, the doctor list and so on like that. And what else are they going to do? They're going to just explain everything to people. They're going to, have discussions. You can vent the misunderstood issues there. A lot of people have said, I'm scared to be able to maintain a relationship, or what if I have children? I'm afraid if my child touches me and then I'm going to get unwantedly aroused. Does that make me, a bad person?
My husband and I are working with an intern right now for a couple of days, and I was talking about how we do the Lundon Calling, London Bridge podcast, and I was telling her what the topic was for the show today and sort of explaining the questions I was going to ask. And this young lady is 17 years old, and she said, and I would have assumed that you remember this, she said, oh, yeah, they featured that on an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
That was the joke.
Was it really?
That was one of them that ticked me off especially, yes, because they just kind of put him into an emergency room on a bed, and there she is moaning and groaning, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with her, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh, she's having orgasms, and then everybody comes into the room because they want to see her have an orgasm. It was so tasteless, so tasteless. That's really? Up there with Jay Leno and the Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
It is absolutely nothing like that.
Okay. She said something about within the episode, the individual was given an operation. Again, we're dealing with a TV show here. She was just telling me this afternoon. Is there any kind of a surgery that's available for this was a question I had before I knew about Grey's Anatomy, which was just this afternoon. Is there a surgical procedure that can help with some relief?
Well, let me back up to that Grey's Anatomy because I saw it, and they ended the episode with she's going to have a surgery. They never said what the surgery was. They never showed the surgery, so that was a bunch of bunk.
Okay.
There was zero information on that. And with regards to surgery, there really hasn't been any successful surgery. Another thing that has small research had shown was that there was what's called a Tarlov cyst resting on the spine. That's Tarlov. Tarlov cyst. They had to have an MRI of the very lower end of the back, the coccyx region, and they would see a small cyst that was pressing on the spine. So I'd say probably 5 or 6 women went in to have that surgery. And as the best of my knowledge, the doctors claimed that they all had no longer had PGAD symptoms. I only know of one that's true for. They aspirated the cyst, and she's been PGAD free now for 2 years. In fact, she's on that video, one of the videos on that PGAD YouTube channel. I contacted the other ones that I could find. I couldn't find every single one of them, and asked them if they were doing better from the Tarlov cyst. And it was either no or I'm doing worse. So it's interesting how one has been PGAD free, the other one's not. This is the most complex disorder, and there's not any one thing. It's just like a cocktail. It's different for everyone, and that's what makes it so difficult to treat or figure out what to do.
Jeannie, you know that I'm hypoglycemic.
Yeah.
And I was the first author to research this crazy thing for 3 years, and it was a lot like PGAD back in the day. There were so many symptoms, and no one was alike, but yet we all shared the low blood sugar problem. And then now the doctors, of course, have got everything pretty well under control. But that was a lot like that back then, too, And this is way before your PGAD, because I can't remember when I wrote the article in the 60s. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you some of the things that do help, and surgery is not one of them, although a couple have had, and this is not surgery, but a couple had Botox injections, and that helped for a short time. But mostly things that alternate treatments to traditional medicine that have helped some would be vitamin D3, because there's probably a deficiency, magnesium for constipation and depression, turmeric for pain. Got to watch trigger foods, gluten and sugar. Sugar is really a good trigger for one, too. And I'm a chocoholic, so, I'm sure I'm going to go to the grave with PGAD and a Hershey bar. So, that's life. Oh, not a Hershey bar. Come on, send me with C's. At least make it something good. Okay. Other things for self-management that they can use is, like I said, about the swimming seems to relieve the symptoms, and acupuncture might help. Yoga could help. Tai Chi helps. Reiki, mindful meditation, deep brain stimulation, biofeedback. A lot of those things will help.
We have a lot of younger listeners that listen to our show. What is the earliest case of PGAD in a person? How young is your earliest known person who has the disorder?
There's a few. 3 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. They always remember the pressure, and they would just sit in a chair and rock, and they felt arousal. And, some said, I just remember having it as long as I can remember. Now, that's not the majority, but they are definitely out there. It doesn't discriminate by age, race, anything else. I mean, one of the admins on this new Facebook group has it pretty bad, and she's managing it as well, like me, through more holistic approach. But she's actually an emergency RN at Rutgers University. So, I mean, we even have nurses that have it. So it doesn't matter about an age. It matters, the main thing I would say is anyone who gets those sensations, get to a doctor as soon as possible. Because if you wait, I don't know why, but I think if you wait and try to, worry and, I think it has a chance to become more permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So that doctor list, that's why we have that. We try to get doctors that we know of in every state and every country. We've got members from France, from Germany, from Canada, from Romania, from Mexico, all who have heard about it, read about it, and relate to it. One woman was in getting her hair cut way back in the beginning when I started these groups, 2003, and her husband was sitting there waiting for her, and he opened up a magazine, and it happened to be the Boston Globe, and that was the very first interview ever done on PGAD, and I'm the one that gave it. That kind of opened up a can of worms, and from there I was just hit and bombarded by media and by other women that recognized those symptoms. But he's sitting there in the chair waiting for her, and then he goes, "Honey, this is what you have." They've been married forever. I think the son's probably 15, 16 years old right now, and she's spent majority of their marriage sleeping in her own bed. And thank God she's got a very supportive husband, but it's pretty rough.
Yeah, this is really, it's a disorder that is just maddening. Yes.
Life altering, that's for sure.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
Well, there's so much stigma attached to it, and it seems like it just gets exacerbated by things that go on socially. Like I'm thinking to myself, a young person who has this has no idea what's going on. Someone who is, 3 is very, very much before puberty. They're having feelings down there, and all of a sudden they're trying to talk about it and express it. Maybe they're in a part of the world or a situation where there is a religious oppression going on.
Oh, absolutely. That same person I was just telling you about who sleeps in a separate room. They're from rural, one of the Carolinas, I think, a big Bible Belt community. And, she was probably ostracized for a long time, but they have since rallied around her. Mm. So, yeah, that's everybody that's in that, Christian set of mind. They look at it entirely the wrong way.
I'm thinking like some people I think would just get crazy enough to perform exorcisms and things like that, just based upon this disorder that you're having to force doctors to pay attention to. And I don't know. It seems like there's just so many traps that a person can fall into because of the social stigma that's attached to it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really maddening how we can talk about sex for men, and it's not a big deal. Like, if you can't get an erection, there's Viagra. And they'll talk about things when really talk about male and sexuality and problems with sex. It's not a big deal. Everybody and doctors are ready to chit-chat up a storm about it. But when it's women, it seems like it's a completely different ball game. And I don't get it. It's like, you get Viagra, we get nothing. It's pretty maddening. But, this new group also is in the works that they are going to set up a suicide hotline just for PGAD people.
That's good.
And that's because we've lost 4 already.
Yeah, that's good.
Ooh.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking like geographically, like Donny lives in Missouri, and I mean, Donny, do you think that what would happen if a young person came up to the average Missourian and just said, "Hey, I'm dealing with this"? I mean, do you think that the minds would be open enough there to take it seriously?
Like, honestly, I think it would really depend on where they lived in Missouri. If they lived in a college town or near Kansas City or St. Louis, I feel like they could probably, like, get help and would probably have someone to listen to them. But if it was in a rural community, I feel like people would just label them as being some sort of sexual deviant.
Mm.
And that's why they go in there first without saying, I have PGAD. You go in there and say, I don't know what is going on here. It's like I've got tingling going on here, and I've got muscle spasms, and I can just feel it, the spasms of the muscles, almost like a heartbeat, and just leave it at that. And then let them, I think they'll be more open to
Well, Jeannie,
trying to look into it. And as you see that doctor and start building the relationship, even if you have to pretend and be surprised, and a month down the road go, oh, look what I found, this has got all my symptoms right here, and then let them know what it is. We don't have doctors in every single state yet, but we are working as hard as we can to get it for every single state. And if there's not one in their state, I'm sure there's going to be somebody that's in a nearby state.
Jeannie, you mentioned it could be a heartbeat. Now, you'd also mentioned that in the groin area where you can feel the tenseness, that's also a place where you can detect whether a person is alive or not, because you can feel the heartbeat there. We do it, on the wrist and on the neck, but the groin is also a place for that.
For pulse.
Yeah, the pulse. So
I don't know. No offense. I'm feeling my groin right now while we're talking, and it's just like rock hard. I think my heart in there is dead.
Okay.
It's just too hard. I mean, it is rock hard. That's why those massages and stretches, you got it, and it's something that has to be done daily, not weekly or monthly, in order to try to loosen that up. And then that kind of, settles down and helps with the sensations.
I'm going to tell on myself here and say I was almost getting ready to make a thigh master joke. Like, you've been really hitting the thigh master really hard. And then I thought, I got to stop myself, because that I don't want that to be taken the wrong way.
Not going to take it the wrong way, because I actually worked for Suzanne Summers for a short amount of time when she had the website, and I can tell you right now that Thigh Master is not worth a piece of crap.
Oh.
So, most of her stuff is not worth anything. I hope she's not listening. And if she is, don't give her my number.
Okay, well, I'm glad you took it in that direction. Thank you.
Well, that's my humor. See, I do have the humor. Humor is my saving grace. I think above everything else. I was born with the wit, and I'm not letting anything kill that. It's going to stay with me forever, and it's really, really helped me to cope with most of this.
Well, it brings levity to difficult situations, and that's important, I think. I mean, how many times do we make jokes at funerals?
Yeah.
Who makes jokes at funerals?
We all do.
You make jokes at funerals?
Well, yeah, of course. Like in hospitals and funerals and stuff. I mean, you I think humor is a release for people. If you're, I don't know. I see a lot of laughing at funerals, and I don't know. It's part of life.
Yeah,
that's just how I feel.
Well, I'll have to check that out, because not too far down the road here, I'm going to be going up to the Central Coast to my longtime financial advisor's 12-year-old granddaughter's celebration of life for her, because she passed away from cancer just a week ago.
Oh.
So I'm going to see if everybody's laughing at that. The church service and mass and all of that is going to be separate and for family and whatever, and just really close friends. But they're going to have a celebration of her life. And I cannot believe how much she changed people's life up there. I follow that Team Lexi on Facebook, and it's just amazing how much this little girl did. The sad thing is that, her mom took her I actually went up to meet her with a friend 2 weekends ago, and on a Saturday, and her mom, just her mom and her, left on Tuesday to go to Lourdes, France, to do that pilgrimage to the holy water for healing. She wanted to go really bad, and then she had trouble breathing, and the plane had to make an emergency landing in Canada, and she actually passed away in Toronto. She never even made it home. It's really a sad story. So I think there'll probably be smiles and stuff, but I'm going to look to see if there's any laughter now that you've said that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that Lexi did cute, funny things when she was alive, and that made people laugh. And I'm sure she had a good spirit and personality.
Yeah, she did.
And we need to remember that of people who have passed. Again, just my opinion.
And she also raised $90,000 for children's cancer research.
Holy
Amazing
God.
little girl.
Indeed. Wow. Okay. Now, in the United States, we have different attitudes towards sex than and we're usually a little bit more prudent than people from other countries. We have a lot of listeners from other countries, and you said that you have a big part of your group is from outside of the United States as well. Do any of the PGAD sufferers outside of the United States, do they have a different experience with their cultures and their societies?
Well, they don't really like to bring it up, honestly. And I think with this disorder, they're probably on the same plane as us here in the States. You know, trying to explain it to doctors because so many more need to be educated and learn of what it is. And they get embarrassed, or they feel feelings of shame, which they shouldn't feel either one. They didn't ask for this and they don't want it. And so many will say, if I never had another orgasm, as long as I live, I'd be happy. You know, so, but I'm glad that we're there for them as well. They, you know, like I said, we've got doctors around the world. We've got places where we can send them. We still have more countries to cover. We still have more states here to cover. But from where we were, Ace, 9 years ago, it's been leaps and bounds.
Oh, yeah.
The changes that have taken place. And it's just this group that they are extremely articulate and go-getters. And I just kind of like feel, look out world, because this is going to be, these people are going to be a force to reckon with regards to getting research, getting doctors on board. Every single thing that needs to be done, they're going to do. I'm very, very happy to have them. I'm proud to turn over what I've done. They can have my legacy or whatever of being the first one, but I want to be just completely out of it now and enjoy the rest of my life and let them carry on. Carry the torch. They can consult me, that's fine, but I just, you know, I don't want to be doing all those things I did by myself, chasing down media for stories and you know, handling all the memberships for two groups and trying to find the doctor. There was a lot to do. I always kid these guys and I go, well, it's taken 4 of you to do what I did by myself for 13 years. I find that kind of funny. And they go, no wonder you want to quit. I go, exactly. I'm tired. I have 5 grandkids and 3 great-grandkids I want to spend time with.
When is too young to tell your grandkids about this or your great grandkids? I mean, when do you think you'll tell them?
My oldest grandchild is a girl, and she's 23, and she's actually put herself through charter college.
She's put herself what?
Through charter college, became a medical assistant,
Okay.
and she wants to be an RN, so she knows about it. and she's known about it probably for 3 years, so since she was 20, because that's when she got her degree for medical assistant, and she actually just left a job she's on, and she's now working at UCLA in Santa Monica. I'm so happy for her.
How young do you think is reasonable, though, to tell? Because there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the school systems about teaching sex to fifth graders, beginning with fifth grade.
Okay, so what is the question again? Is how
young do you think that you should tell your grandkids about this?
I think the kids, when they're kids, they got enough on their plate to deal with in today's society. I don't think they shouldn't be told about it, I don't think, until they get to a mature enough age that they can grasp the concept.
Okay. By the way, how much time do we have left?
I think we got about 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes. Okay. Jeannie, thank you for being on the show and giving us all this wonderful information.
That's amazing. And this will be archived on the site, so I can post that and let the members listen?
Yep, and it'll be on Facebook and everything, too.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nice meeting you, Donny. Nice meeting you, Sean. Thank you for all your great questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Guys.
And Ace, you always have my love.
Yeah, I know that. You love me. You can't help it.
Now let's go, Toke.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. You got to edit that out, Mike. All right, go ahead and finish your show, guys.
Okay. I think we should start a little, like a quiz or something like that. And whoever the winner is will get to go on a date with me. We'll have a date with them. And here's the thing, folks. Send in when you think this happens. If Trump wins, when do impeachment proceedings begin? Tell us when, and whoever tells us the correct one can have a date with the sexy old man. Okay, folks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being with us. Political correctness. To hell with it. It is a total infringement upon the freedom of individuals to be who they are and all they can be or might be, whether they be angels or assholes. Political correctness. Goodbye, folks. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Donny. And, what would we do without Spider-Man? Nothing. Good night, Spider-Man.